Kevin Pietersen, the former cricketer, South African cricketer, who tweeted that he said he's got to go into London today. He said he's taken off his watch and he's put on a plastic ring for his wedding ring. And he says, congratulations, Sadiq Khan. Now, given what Chloe's just said, given that Chloe feels unsafe in London, whether that be, there might be elements of sexual violence that women are scared of, especially, but even men walking down the street, right? You're leaving your watch at home, you're taking off your wedding band. There's a whole element here of London just becoming completely unsalvageable.
Yeah, he's right to do that, by the way. I mean, I'm not saying that everyone would recognize him if you walk down the street, but if one person know how much you saw him and recognized him and it wasn't one of those motorbike muggers, they would target him. Of course they would. They target anyone with a watch. And there was a whole BBC panorama on this, on how they literally go to rich areas and they sit outside, they look inside restaurants, they look and see what the men are wearing. Are they wearing a watch? Are the women wearing a nice necklace? And they follow them home. They follow them to the car and then they mug them at knife point. And we're not just talking about normal knives anymore. We saw the state of the knife that was used on that train stabbing just a couple of weeks ago in London. They're basically swords. So
That's the thing. I
he's
think it's
right.
pretty sad that someone is willing to put a knife through your heart and end your life just for a watch.
Yeah, it's horrible.
It's the state of London, and if we're going to talk about why this is the state, because we know that the proportionate amount of knife crime, a very very large proportion of it, is taken up by black and Middle Eastern minorities. It's as simple as that. That's a fact. They are disproportionately committing these crimes, and as we again bring more people in from those countries, that's only going to get worse. So the facts just say that they are just what they are. You can't lie about facts. The statistics are there. And if you bring more people from those countries, then they're only going to go up. So it's a pretty obvious problem.
Arlie's not holding back on YouTube. She calls for I don't know why I'm saying she, actually. That was an assumption I'll be cancelled for. Could be a he, could be a they,
In
could
Scotland
be a
to
z.
be arrested.
Well, absolutely. Repatriation, things cannot go on like this. Children losing their future. Slim mentions Hamza Yusuf's drug-dealing brother-in-law. Well, yeah, that's a discussion for another time that we must talk about. Annette says, isn't this happening in Sweden as well? And probably figures are climbing in the UK. So many gangs everywhere. Absolutely correct. I don't think everyone coming here, when they were coming from places like Albania, they weren't coming here because they needed economic opportunity. They were coming here because they wanted to seep into the underground of, I don't mean literally the underground, but the underground of the dark economy, of the black economy, to actually get up to nefarious no good.
Yeah.
Ryan says they're not immigrants, they're invaders, period. We have the same BS here in Canada and everywhere. Slim says carry a spare wallet that only has a small amount of cash in it. Even in Glasgow, Slim says we've been told not to wear nice watches. So we've got to change our lives as a consequence of the worsening of our country, in large part thanks to mass migration and two-tier policing. That is a disgusting thing to try and accept. And keep your comments coming in. We love them, coming in thick and fast. And then, Alex, you pointed out that Matty Stadlin, who is for those that don't know, is a left-wing commentator, and he's sort of like a champagne socialist. And he says, Kevin Pietersen venturing into London for the day and joining the 9 million of us who live here really is brave of him. He says, sad really. Pietersen was one of England's bravest and greatest batsmen. Loved watching him. And then Carl Benjamin replied saying, you got mugged the other day, mate. I mean, he's absolutely right. Has this guy got no self-awareness? He was just mugged. He said he would never be mugged in London. London was great, fantastic, safe as houses. And then he gets mugged, holding his bloody phone, walking his dog. This is...
Calm as a bitch, eh?
What's hilarious about this, just to give anyone who hasn't seen the Matty Stadlin story, just to give a bit of context and a bit of a laugh to you all about how delusional these lefties are. Matty Stadlin, before he got mugged a couple of years ago, tweeted, I will never be mugged. I'm basically calling himself unmuggable in London and laughed in the face of anyone that had ever been mugged. Of course, he then goes and posts that he's had his phone mugged off of him. He then a big Twitter account, I think it's called Defiant Elves, which is basically people taking very bad losses online. Then posted the two tweets together, in which Elon Musk even responded with a laughing face. So that's right. Matthew called himself a street fighter. Trained street fighter. So hilarious. A man who's literally just been subject to a serious crime in London is then going and taking the mick out of somebody who's doing a more sensible thing than Matthew has. It's bonkers. These lefties are delusional.
Totally right.
The thing is, the phone stealing is the most
What
common thing. You asked me, Darren, do I feel safe in London? And to be honest, unless I go to some dodgy parts, I'm personally don't have a huge fear of, say, being raped or being abducted or something like that. But I do always fear about my phone being stolen. My hand is on my phone all the time. Luckily, I'm not rich enough to afford a Rolex yet, so I don't have to worry about that yet. But maybe one day.
I mean, I have an Apple Watch. It's on a contract, right? But I shouldn't have to walk down the street and fear that someone's going to take it from me, and that the police would just go, nothing we can do here, mate. We're too busy policing another sodding Palestinian protest of 1 million people that's going on for the 20th time this week. It's just it's farcical.
Well, that's the thing. That's the reason that these people do it, and they make a business out of this, and they get away with it because the police won't do anything. They think phone being stolen not our top priority, so that's why it keeps going on.
Well,
and on
stabbing and all the rest of it.
My friend had his phone stolen off him at Hammersmith, the place I mentioned. You've got all these teenagers walking around in gangs, taking phones off people, and it ended up breaking out into a fight, and the police coming. But anyway, the police, they managed to pin down the guy that stole my friend's phone, and he had with him like bags of like 10, 15 phones that he'd taken off people, which was just absolutely crazy. That was the one time when the police actually did catch them. But we saw.
All right, I'm bored of talking about London.
An Apple store just taking phone after phone after phone, and the employees just standing there doing nothing. Police not around. Just walks out, pants full of iPhones.
Yeah, right. So Paul says that Matthew Stadlin is a mug. Well,
yes, he is. He really
Youngster
is a mug.
Simmons says, as much as it feels common sense to remove watches, etc., I don't think we can bow to it anymore. This is what's got us into this far time to stand tall, push back, and let us help each other. We cannot hide from it. I do think we need to be a bit more vocal on all of this. Have you got what it takes to be a reasoned presenter? Well, send us a short clip of yourself to join@reasoned.uk, and we might be seeing you on this very channel very soon indeed.